He's a really good horse, exceptionally good looking, and fast.
Lord Nelson is just a picture type. He's got a beautiful neck and shoulder. He's got a nice hip. He's really strong.
Extremely fast. He's very well balanced. This horse is just an incredible fighter. He's mentally tough. His constitution is just iron. He's as tough, I think, as they make horses.
Hi everybody and welcome to Keeneland Babies, presented by Spendthrift. It's Arkansas Derby week. Spendthrift stands an Arkansas Derby winner in Danza. I'm Dan Illman. This is Nicole Russo. We're going to take a look at race number 2 at Keeneland on Thursday. Of course, it's at 4.5 furlongs as we throw up the field of 2-year-old fillies for our Keeneland Baby race. And Spendthrift is represented by the number 1, Crossing Alaska, by Cross Traffic, and the number 9, better yet, by Spendthrift Regional Stallion, Super 99. We'll take this field in program number order, Nicole, and we'll begin with the number 1, Boozy Brunch, a $20,000 buyback as a yearling. This sire doesn't win very often with 2-year-old first-time starters, only 6% winners.
Yeah, Haynesfield by a sprint champion in Speightstown, but Haynesfield did his work as an older horse going along. Of course, you remember his victory in the Jockey Club Gold Cup over Blame. His runners following in that pattern, do tend to need a little bit of time to develop. This one, though, out of a Tappet mare who was placed at 2, so maybe a little more precocity down there.
It looks like this filly's been working in company with War Ballad and Best You've Ever Seen, horses that have been entered by this barn in the Wednesday Keeneland Baby race. See how they did. If maybe one of them outperforms expectations, perhaps you can upgrade the chances of Boozy Brunch. The number 2, Dragic. Boy, this horse just seems to have everything. It's a Wesley Ward trainee. It's a $100,000 yearling. It's a half to classy horses, and the dam was precocious and fast.
Yeah, we talked about this horse a little bit last week, was scratched out of a Keeneland Baby spot on opening weekend for this spot by Ward. So you have to assume that, he kind of has a plan for this horse. Sire Broken Vow by Unbridled. The Unbridled line has been so good in recent years. Broken Vow has the 2-year-old champion on his resume recently in Champagne Room. Damn, Let Go My Echo, very fast. And as you mentioned, this is a good 2-year-old family.
And it appears that workout out of the gate on March the 24th, it might have gone in company with Stillwater Cove, who won the maiden first out for Wesley Ward on Sunday. The 3 is Lady Apple. This is a daughter of Curlin, a $100,000 buyback as a yearling, but a half-sister to a couple of multiple stakes-winning sprinters, and this dam was very precocious, a debut winner, and graded placed at 2.
Yeah, Miss Mary Apples ran so well at Saratoga as a 2-year-old. By Curlin, we talk about him all the time as such a prominent classic sire, but he's done very well with his 2-year-olds, especially last year. He had 2-year-old champion Good Magic and Solamini out there. Might need a bit more distance, but, he has done well with his juveniles. Lady Apple, a May foal, so, keep that in mind when you're looking at her. From a very good, underrated breeding program at Katie Rich Farm. I think a lot to like about this one.
The number 4, Miss Mahalia, is by the sensational young stallion Uncle Mo, who wins 19% with his 2-year-old debut runners. This dam was a pretty precocious runner in her own right. She won her debut. She won a Group 3 sprint on turf as a 2-year-old. The dam's also a half to a Group 3 turf winner in France. The fact that this horse wasn't very commercial, a little bit concerning considering Uncle Mo's success at stud, and there's a lot of turf on the bottom of this pedigree.
Yeah, honestly, I think the turf is probably what turned people off a bit in this commercial market. Out of a Southern Halo mare, of course, Southern Halo is the sire of horses like More Than Ready, family of a lot of group performers in Europe. I think the Uncle Mo's run on anything, a very classy family, but I would maybe, watch this one and circle her perhaps on the turf further out. There just aren't turf opportunities at this time of year, and that's probably why this horse is debuting on the dirt.
The number 5 is Senorita Tappet by Lookin' at Lucky, 12% winners with 2-year-old debut runners. When you go deep into this family, you've got some graded stakes winners, Laraz, Summerfront, horses that did their best running arguably on turf and a synthetic surface. This one only sold for $4,000 as a yearling.
Yeah, this is another one with kind of a hidden turf pedigree. You see Looking at Lucky out of a Tappet mare and you think that's dirt, but remember 2-year-old champion Looking at Lucky by that multi-purpose sire Smart Strike. This the family of Lara, who won the Grade 1 Hollywood Starlet at 2. Lara by Tappet, family of Summerfront, who excelled on the turf. So this is another one I'd maybe circle down the line.
The 6 Wozy looks interesting to me. This one goes out for trainer Joe Sharp, who's winning with 23% of all of his starters in 2018. This one is by the good debut stallion Munnings, who wins with 15% of his 2-year-old first-time starters. Family of route horses like Drilling for Oil and Honolulu Star, but I wonder if Wozy will be ready first time out. I like the Munnings on top. Speed over stamina, good connections, maybe sort of a sneaky under-the-radar horse at 8-1 in the morning line.
I definitely think so. Munnings can certainly get you a good 2-year-old. He tends to throw, kind of blocky, sprinter type looking, really powerful horses. I do think the Sharp Barn will have this one ready to go first time out. They've got to be looking ahead to some of these bigger early season 2-year-old events at Churchill and up on the New York circuit.
Daisy Queen is from the first crop, the highly anticipated first crop of Verrazano, who has already had an unsuccessful 2-year-old debut runner at this meet. The dam won sprinting on a synthetic surface. She earned her best buyer of 52. The second dam, a graded stakes winning turf router at 2, so a little bit of precocity here for Daisy Queen, but somewhat concerning, I guess, that this daughter of Verrazano only sold for $2,000.
Yeah, but Verrazano, his first starter was a good second on opening day. I thought he was beaten, came rallying, really turned in a nice effort. The thing that concerns me more with this one is kind of the turf family. Verrazano, of course, we know him as the winner of the Wood and the Haskell, but he went over to Europe later in his career and really gave a great accounting of himself running against some world-class type horses at Royal Ascot to finish on the board. As you mentioned, some turf breeding for this one underneath as well.
Love Off, the number 8, looks very interesting. We've mentioned that trainer John Hancock has had success with first-time starters during the Keeneland spring meets in the past. This is a half to a Grade 3 stakes place sprinter in Elusive Fate and a 2-year-old debut winner in Pilot House and another black type earner, the stakes place Morning Destiny. The dam earned a 98 buyer and she's a half to Gemologist. A lot to like from a pedigree standpoint. What do you think of the Stay Thirsties first out though?
Well, Stay Thirsty was a very good 2-year-old in his own right, kind of flew under the radar because, of course, he was sharing a barn with Uncle Mo at the time. He was kind of the Rodney Dangerfield of the barn. But, he could run it too. His runners tend to take a bit of time to develop, but in the hands of John Hancock, this one might be ready to go. This one showed some strong works back in March. Looks like the most recent works were kind of maintenance moves. I do love that Corey Lannery is aboard. A lot to like here, and this one might fly under the radar a little bit with the Ward horse in the same field.
Top connections for the number 9, Better Yet, Michael Maker, Jose Ortiz. This is the first starter by Spendthrift Regional Stallion Super 99. What can you tell us about Super 99?
Well, Super 99, a son of Pulpit from the AP sire line, standing for Spendthrift in Maryland in partnership with Country Life Farm. And if all of that sounds familiar to you, it should. That's how Spendthrift and Country Life made Malibu Moon, a son of AP Indy who started out in Maryland before being called up to Kentucky. I have to think that they've kind of got a plan for this horse. And Better Yet is out of a mare by Not for Love, who stood in Maryland. Prominent broodmare sire, of course, representatives like California Chrome in that category nationally for him. Also bred on the AP Indy sire line. So really kind of some intriguing stuff here storyline-wise going on.
Very productive dam. She's already thrown bonus points, a multiple stakes winner going long, and Candid Desire, a late running stakes winning sprinter. You've got Michael Maker in your corner. Here's the formulator fact over the past 3 years. 2-year-old first-time starter in maiden special weight dirt sprints at Keeneland, 27% and a $2.70 return on investment. We'll move on to the number 10, Stellar Stiletto. This is a filly by Snappy Halo who just hasn't had much success just yet with a limited sample of 2-year-old debut runners.
Yeah, very limited sample. This is a horse brought up to stand at Calumet Farm. you know, did some good work in the Southern Hemisphere. He's by Southern Halo, who of course has sons at stud in the U.S. and internationally, like More Than Ready. Again, a small sample size, a lot of them, as this runner is bred by Calumet. We'll see kind of what he develops, but I definitely think of them more as turf horses.
Lori G, the number 11, is a first-time starter by the long-winded Horse of the Year Mineshaft, but there is some class on the bottom of this pedigree. Not only was the dam a multiple stakes winner on turf, but she won her debut at 2, and she's also a full sister to a stakes-winning dirt sprinter. So again, we've got stamina over speed with Lori G.
Yeah, and you know, I like that very much. I like when you see the two sides of a pedigree balancing each other out. Mineshaft, you know, they do tend to want to go longer.
Going into Wednesday morning, trainer Carl DeVille has not had much success with these kind of horses. Maybe he had a winner of the Wednesday Keeneland Baby race, but going into this, past 5 years, 2-year-old first-time starters in maiden special weight dirt sprints, only 0 for 25. Lori G is a New York bred. The number 12 is Thanks, the second Haynesfield filly in this race. Thanks was an $8,500 yearling purchase, and you look at this pedigree and you kind of think distance. The dam was a half to now a Victor who did well going long. It's the family of Lost Code who did well going long. Although it looks like some of these workouts in company with a horse that outperformed for this barn earlier this meet.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, looking at that work pattern, I think that they're trying to get Thanks revved up to go. But, yeah, as we mentioned earlier, I think the Haynesfields do need a little bit of time with him being at his best as an older horse.
Always a fun race, any of these Keeneland Baby races. Nicole, Dragic, I expect to take a lot of money breaking from the rail for Wesley Ward with all of those connections and workout appeal. Where are you going?
Well, I do certainly expect Dragic to go off the favorite, but as we discussed, Love Off, maybe not an obvious 2-year-old pedigree, but I do like the connections. I like the work pattern. Lady Apple, again, I'm going to take a look at this one being a May foal, but I think this is a very good pedigree, curling over that Miss Mary Apples, who was so good at 2. And I will take a look at Wozy underneath. Again, Munnings can get you a debut starter, and I think that the Sharp Barn is going to have this one ready to go.
I want to go with Wozy and here at a little bit of a price to pull off the slight upset for all the reasons that you mentioned. She'd be my top pick. Horses that I would use underneath, or at least keep an eye on for a late run down the road. Maybe we can play them as second or third time starters. The 4, Miss Mahalia by Uncle Mo with that turf pedigree underneath. The 5, Senorita Tappa, and the 9, Better Yet by Super 99. Of course, a fun race at Keeneland. It is our Keeneland Baby race for Thursday. It's presented by Spendthrift, and we'll see you next week for more Keeneland Babies.